Not really that. Yeah, that kind of apology works. Because there are some people that cannot accept when they've done something wrong or when they need to hear something.
And that's the time, like you said, when that apology works, because it's you saying, I'm sorry that you felt offended by this comment, but it's fact. Or I have to say this and it's going to offend you.
Yes.
So I'm sorry that this will offend you.
Right.
Or this has offended you, or that you feel offended by this, but I'm going to say what I have to say because it needs to be said.
Amen. I just wanted to get that caveat out there. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
I don't really know in a way in which the if this then I'm sorry thing works, but it only worked for me in that scenario with my mother, because again, she kind of like she does not like to apologize. She won't apologize for anything, and my mother is very much of that mindset.
She's a powerful woman. She's strong.
Very strong woman, strong to a fault, super hard-headed. That's why she's an Aries. She's a ram. She batters things.
She's an Aries?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ, say no more.
Yes, she's an Aries. She's a ram. She batters things. Y'all. She's stubborn. She's hard-headed. Ugh. I love her, but she's the person, like, the walls will come down around her before she says, I'm sorry. And one of the reasons why I think it's kind of like that for her is because she kind of feels like I shouldn't have to apologize for anything that I say that or do. Right. But I think she's also from a school of thought where, as I previously mentioned, that as a parent, as coming from a generation where it's like the parent is, the rules of the parent is the rules of the household, the law of the land. Right. I shouldn't have to apologize for saying anything to you because I'm the parent. I'm the authoritarian here. Right. I'm the person that's in charge. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And as well as she didn't grow up with, or in a time, I should say, and this is the only reason why I would say sometimes not apologizing is generational, because sometimes there are people who are living in a time where the concept of children having feelings is not a real thing.
Oh, yes. Yes. You just said a word, sis.
It's the concept of my kids having feelings. That's not a real thing, because one of the things my mom said to me in this conversation was, that was so long ago and you shouldn't have taken that seriously. And I'm like, but why shouldn't I have taken that seriously? Oh, because you were a child when I said that to you. And it's like, so you do not think that children are impressionable? Right. They're only impressionable when they're out of your sight, not when they're around you. Yes. When they're around you, they're not impressionable. And so you can say all kinds of things that you want to say, because I'm the parent and they know that I love them. So clearly anything that I say isn't meant to hurt them, despite the fact that words will always hurt. Right. Period.
Right. Yeah.
So with that, words always hurting, I grew up around a person who, again, they didn't apologize or didn't apologize often for the things that they said or that they did. They didn't feel that they hurt people. And me also didn't grow up in a household, at the very least for me, I'm going to speak for myself. Right. I didn't grow up feeling like I could express why things hurt me, because I had a mother who was strong. So me being sensitive was like, you're being really weak right now. Why are you so sensitive when I talk to you? She wanted like a battering ram that would be just, either a stone wall who anytime she said stuff, like you would listen, but you would listen to the practical and the logical part of it, but the emotional part of it, you would just toss to the side.
Now, I wonder if that's a Caribbean thing, because like, and I mean Caribbean, Anglo, and Francophile, and like for the Spanish, because like, a lot of like Cubans that I know, and even Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, as well as like Trinidad and Jamaican, they seem to have that, like of a certain generation. Like it's very, like you use some words just now that really, really hit home, that the Cuban, my partner, he dealt with growing up, and other people that I knew. So I wonder if it's generational and also cultural too, because in America there's a little bit more, like my parents were a little bit more, they would say I'm sorry. And they would mean it. I
want to say, and I may not speak for all Caribbean people, but I want to say that for some Caribbean folks, or a good deal of us, it is a cultural thing, because it's cultural and generational, right? Like you shouldn't expect your parent to say they're sorry, because you should just know. You just know. You should just know they're sorry. They should never have to say it. And again, you're the child. So as the child, like, you shouldn't expect a parent to say they're sorry. Right. But what parents forget is that children grow up into adults. Yes. And children carry that shit with them. Yes. And so you find that for me, because of that, I became And as I mentioned in my previous podcast, I became very apologetic that anytime some shit would happen,
right, you're good with that.
I'm sorry.
No,
like I know I acknowledge when I did something wrong.
Right.
I acknowledge if I hurt somebody's feelings, I'll say, you know what, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
But you're also empathic too, and I think that
that's the other thing.
Like
you know,
you have an ability to be able to know, and one could say it's an Aquarian thing or whatever, but like you have an ability, and this is something I've always known about you since I first met you 12 years ago, is that you are able to see, okay, I said something. And you've never hurt my feelings before, but this is just something I'm able to know about you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I hurt this person's feelings. Something's all right, and I'm really sorry. And just over the years and hearing you deal with, like, you know, your ex-husband and
other people.
Yes, other people, right. Yes.
Other people.
Other folks. You never, ever, 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 ever had an inability to say, I'm sorry.
No.
And I always appreciate that about you. And you know, one of my good friends is a Scorpio, and he is rough, and he is aggressive, and he and I have gotten into arguments, and we'll go into screaming matches. But one thing I love about him, his name is Jameson. Shout out to Jameson. I know you don't listen, but I want you to listen. One thing I love about this dude is that, and this is what helped me be better with apologizing, a strong-willed person, like you're a strong-willed person, and you guys were examples for me in the sense that Jameson will hold my hand and say, Vince, I'm sorry. Like, I was out of line. I was being ridiculous. I was being this. I was being that. And I remember thinking to myself, with him specifically, and also just like you listening to you, like, here are two people who I respect, who don't have a problem saying, I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power in that.
There is. And I think people don't witness the power in saying, I'm sorry. They don't witness the power in that, and it's sad because there's so much power in forgiveness. If you're able to say I'm sorry, then you're allowing that person the power to be able to forgive you, and there's so much power in receiving that forgiveness from a person.
Can you just repeat what you just said? Like, no, because it's hitting home right now.
Yes,
I'm receiving
you know,
this.
there is power in saying I'm sorry because there is so much power in forgiveness, and there's power in giving forgiveness because you're forgiving yourself for saying what you said or doing what you did, and you're allowing the person who you've hurt the power to forgive you, and there's that exchange of power. There's that aura of power around you.
Wow.
You know, it basically just starts to come into you all like osmosis. You know, it floats between the two of you.
Yes.
It becomes ingrained between the two of you guys. It embodies you. It envelops you, if you will. And I think people tend to think that they're the stronger person by holding out that forgiveness and by saying I'm sorry, and they figure that there's the strength in that. I'm gonna be the stronger person because I'm gonna hold back that I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you continue to feel the way that you feel, and I'm gonna continue to allow you to whimper and be sad about the way that I've affected your feelings. Because that's the power that I want to hold over you. Not realizing that just shows your weakness and your insecurity. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't say you're sorry, then you're hella insecure. Like, you need to have that power. You need to have that power in holding that and lording that over people versus having the power and being able to forgive, you know, to forgive yourself for saying what you say, to forgive, you know, the hurt that you give in the person, and to move on from that and to learn from that. And I think a lot of people really do find, like, again, they don't realize that it's backwards. Like, you're not strong for not saying you're sorry. You're really not. Like, you are just inflicting pain wherever you go.
Oh my God.
And there's no strength really in that, because who wants to be that person? Naturally, people don't like people who inflict pain. So why would you want to walk around being that kind of person?
Remembering now, we're dealing with a world that is filled with toxic personalities.
That's very true too.
You know, toxic people who may not even realize they're toxic. And we have to remember that we are empathic, relatively sane people, sane people in a world, and guys, like guys and dolls. No, that sounds horrible. People.
Yes, people.
People. We are
folks with an X.
Folks, yes, exactly. Like real talk. Like Afiya and I, like we give a fuck about people. Like we care about people and what they feel.
I genuinely care about people.
We genuinely do. And then it's like we're around people who don't think that way. So it's like you were just saying just now. You just said a word. Why do you want to go around being that person that's inflicting pain? But a lot of people get off on that.
They get off. Some people
they're
do.
Abused.
Yeah.
They're hurting.
They're hurting.
Hurt people, right?
Precisely that. Hurt people. Hurt people.
And so like hurt people, a person who's hurt inside and hurting and just like have a hole within their soul that hasn't been filled and they are filling it, that's someone that lashes out. And so like, y'all, like Afiya was just saying what she was saying and I was not in my head for 5 minutes straight because yes, there's power in forgiveness. There's power in saying that you're sorry and receiving that. Like that's so real. And I just want to go back to that because my partner would like to hear that because he has gone through a lot where he had to forgive and there are certain things that he won't forgive.
Yes.
And there's certain things that he won't. And there are other things that he's like, you know what? I dealt with this trauma here and I'm gonna forgive that person because I don't want that person to have any more power over me. Yes. Precisely. You feel me? Yeah. And so
that's exactly why we phrase it that way.
Yes.
I'm going to forgive you so you won't have that power over me.
Right.
It's the way in which, you see people who they see their loved ones murdered by someone.
Right.
And what do? I'm going to forgive you because you're not going to have that. You're not going to lord that over me.
Exactly.
And that is that power I have, knowing that you cannot hurt me anymore.
Yes. I'm kind of emotional right now because like I'm getting a little emotional because this is a big topic for the both of us, and I'm not like teary eyed, but I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling the mood as they say in Young Justice, and Afiya and I, we just recently. So here's the thing: Afiya and I are both coming out of something.
Yeah,
we don't know what it is we're coming out of and what we're entering.
This Mercury retrograde bullshit,
girl. Can you speak that like Mercury and I feel comfortable blaming that fucking planet Mercury.
I do too.
Okay,
fuck you, Mercury.
Astrologically, my Mercury is in Taurus, so and I am a Taurian, so it's like right now my communication is all fucked. Like I'm just like. And we're both coming out of something. And while we were walking from the train station, because we met each other after work, both tired from our days of work.
Oh, you.
Tired, girl, tired. And we just wanted to have this conversation about apologizing and what that means. And yo, listeners, like, I beg you, we're begging you. If you have a problem owning up to shit that you do, that you fucked up on, please seek therapy. And that's not a read. What it is it's we're all adults here. And if you can't own that you fucked up and that you really hurt someone that you love, that's a problem.
It is.
That's a problem. And it took me so long to get here. And now that I'm here, the kind of clarity that I have and the freedom that I have and being able to own, yes, I came on strong right there. I was dealing with this. I was hurting because I was dealing with that. Like I wasn't feeling well. I was crashing, whatever. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like it's this.
It's a lot. It really is. It's a word, as you say.
It's a word.
It's so much, and it's like that's why I say I think it's really sad when people. And it's a person who apologizes. Now, that's not to say that you should apologize for everything.
Yeah.
Which is something that I am learning to not do.
Right.
Because I, again, knowing or being around people who won't apologize, I bump in. I'm so sorry. I bump into someone. I'm sorry. I cut somebody on just walking on shit. I'm sorry. Like I say, I'm sorry for everything.
That's actually good to see you're sorry about.
And it's like, I don't need to be sorry about, stepping in front of you when I'm walking, but it's so natural for me to say I'm sorry because I've just always had to say I'm sorry because I had somebody who wouldn't say they were sorry. So I'm sorry for making you upset, even though you're the person who made me mad.
Yes.
That's what I always had to do.
And toxic people will do that to you.
Yes.
Toxic people will make it like it's your fault.
Like it's your fault. So it's like I've always had to do that, like, just in life and relationships, like all the time. And so I'm learning that it's okay for me to not always apologize for things that I didn't do, or at the very least acknowledge when I need to say I'm sorry and when I really don't, But say all of that to say that, like, the thing about apologizing for me and what I want people to take with them is like, know when to apologize, one, and then two, make sure that you are like, you understand that apologies has, I don't even know how to phrase it. Understand that there is power in apologies.
Yes.
And the power in that is also being powerful enough to be responsible and to accept responsibility for your actions.
Yes.
Okay. In order to be, that's me. I think if you're going to be a good adult,